tell me about the Apache Prayer?
Well, the Apache Veterans Association, the president of the Apache Veterans Association texted me and he said that he wanted to do a prayer. And I just thought he meant like a regular Christian prayer. And so I thought that he just said, we, the veterans, want to do a prayer with you. And so he said, let's meet tomorrow morning at, I think it was like 8 or so. And we met, and then he said, let's go over to the fence line of where Jesse's car was found. And I said, sure. And he said, the closer we get to the location of where he was last known, the better. And I said, okay. And I'm not a very spiritual person, but I do believe in energy, and I do believe in, so I just thought, okay, we can go there. And so we went over there, and the fence was open, and I have been really careful not to go past the fence because they told me not to. They told me not to ever go there again. But the veterans, there was 3 veterans, and Natasha, Jesse's girlfriend, and I. And they said, well, probably Fish and Game is down there already, so let's just go to the side of the car. And I said, okay. And as we were driving, we all got into their car, and as we were driving, I said, I'm really worried about getting in trouble. I don't want them to think that I'm not going to follow their rules. And they said, no, you're fine because you're our guest. And I said, okay. We went down there, and it took a long time. It takes a long time to get to where the car was. People don't realize how far away it is from the road. And the terrain is so rocky, and it's really, even in 4-wheel drive, it's a slow drive. And the man that was going to do the prayer was a medicine man, and I had never met a medicine man, and I suddenly realized that this wasn't going to be a prayer like what I thought. And I showed him where the car was. I showed him what I had been told, which way it was pointing, exactly where it was. We were looking at the tracks of when they had towed the car out, and I said the car came in this way, and then it got the car and it backed out that way, or the tow truck, and then I went up to the railroad tracks. The tracks are about, they're nearby, but the whole land is flat, and the tracks, for as low as they are the high point of that whole area. And so I just went and I stood on top of the railroad tracks, and I always think I'm gonna get to that high point and I'm gonna look down and see something, but you just can't see very far at all. And I went back down, and the medicine man had made a circle on the ground, and I don't know if he just smoothed out the dirt or if he put new sand on there, but he had other sand. He had different colors of sand, and he had like green and white, kind of a coppery red, and purple. And he drew these like M's then he drew 4 M's with one with each color, and they were pointed in the same direction in the middle of this large circle with chalk. So it wasn't like he drew it, but it was chalk dust that he had drawn these shapes. And then with the coppery red color, he drew an arrow at the end of all 4 of those M's. They were arrows. And all 4 arrows were pointing east. It was early in the morning. The sun had already risen, but it was just right there, staring straight at us. And then he drew 4 lines with each color on each of the 4 directions of the circle. And it was basically a compass. And I remember when I saw him drawing it, I said, can I take a picture or a video of this? And they said, no. And I was like, I told myself I have to remember everything about this because I don't get to take a picture. And so I focused so hard and tried to remember every single little detail. And so they had the 4 little lines, about an inch and a half of each color in each quadrant. And then the arrows were all pointing east, but each arrow was actually meant for a different direction. So the green line was first, and that was pointing east. And the white line was the second line, and they said that's pointing south. And then the red line was the next line, the burnt red, like the burnt copper red. They said that's for north. And then the purple line was for pointing south. And then they had a little leather bag with yellow chalk in there. And they had these feathers, and they asked Natasha to do some things with the feathers and with the chalk. She got the chalk on her finger, and she had to draw a cross on the man's hand, and then she had to draw a circle around the cross counterclockwise. And her finger was yellow, and she was drawing yellow onto his hand. And then he went over to the circle with the yellow chalk, and he put his fingers in, and he got some yellow chalk, and he started saying his prayer, chanting in Apache. And he was walking around the circle, and all of his movements were very deliberate. Are you recording me?
What? No, I'm not.
Oh, you're not? Okay. So he's just like, there were times when he had to go counterclockwise, when he had to go clockwise, and he had Natasha and I, and all 5 of us were doing the movements. And then he had Natasha take off her shoes, and she stood on this drawing that he had made. And he had her turn around and get her feet in the sand, and then she had the opportunity to say her own prayer. And it was silent. And then when she was done with her prayer, they had explained to us that we were pointing east because the sun rises in the east, and that it had significance to asking for these visions or for this help to know where Jesse was. And the arrows were going to shoot our prayers in all those different directions and make sure that the whole land knew our prayers and heard our prayers. And he had me and Anthony and the other veteran, and we all did our prayers. And when I didn't know that, I mean, I don't think that he knew that Natasha was Jesse's girlfriend. Because he kept saying the wife, and obviously the bond between husband and wife is stronger, but she wasn't his wife, and so I do believe that the bond between Jesse and I is stronger as twins. But I did have my chance to stand and to make my prayer, and I can still feel it. My chest just got on fire, and I just screamed. I screamed so loud that I needed Jesse to know that whatever happened didn't matter. That I'm so sorry that it ended up this way, because if I had known what he was going through, I would have fought so hard for him. If our relationship had been in a better place, where he trusted me enough to know that he could tell me these deep, dark things that were going on, and he could have just told me, and I would have fixed everything. I would have fixed everything, because I don't quit. I don't give up. And other people have to. His friends and his Marine brothers, and I mean, Natasha, I know she loves him, but she didn't have a clue what he was going through. She doesn't know him as well as I do, and she didn't know what he needed at the time, and obviously I didn't know what he needed at the time. But if he had told me, I would have known exactly what he needed, and I would have done it, and I would have taken care of everything. He wouldn't have had to worry. He wouldn't have had to deal with it and fight it on his own. And that's what my prayer was. I just needed him to know how sorry I was that I wasn't there for him in his greatest hour of need. And I said it over and over. I just repeated it over and over. My heart just wanted to explode, because I felt fix everything, and I would have tried to fix everything, and I'm so sorry that I didn't know what he was going through, and I should have paid more attention. And now, since Jesse went missing, learning about all these veterans who are going through the same thing, it tears me to pieces to know that there's so many people in this world, so many people in our country that are going through this, and they all have families, they all have civilian families, but they have the hardest time talking to civilians because they think that we don't understand, but we don't have to understand. Sometimes it's better that we don't understand so that we are able to bear the burden without the emotional tie to it. We can help them bear the physical burden of it. We can help them. We can stay more objective for them, because sometimes you need the person who is just talking sane, and sometimes it's the person that didn't go through the experience that is the sane one. And I hate that our military has had to deal with this burden, and I hate that I didn't even know it. And I hate that I knew that Jesse was burdened. I knew that he had PTSD. I knew that he had a lot going on in his life. But I should have shouldn't have let him come to me. I shouldn't have let him make the decision to call me. If I knew that he was going through a tough time, I should have gone after him. I should have chased after him. I should have said, Jesse, what's going on? And then when he told me, I could have said, okay, we're going to do this, 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 this. And write out a list. And I could have taken so many of his burdens, and I could have taken them on and been like, I'm going to do this. You're going to do that. I'm going to do this. You're going to do that. And I could have divided his burden in half. I could have. And it might have been enough where he would have not left and not decided that he just couldn't do it anymore. Sometimes just knowing that someone is always there for you, no matter what, is the thing that you need. And sometimes that's only your family. And if your family, that's why it's so important to me to have you and Andrew understand that you guys are in this together, and you can always depend on each other. And I know that you think that you can't when you're young and you're fighting, and Jesse and I were old and we were fighting, but it doesn't matter what we're fighting about. It doesn't matter what you and Andrew were fighting about. When it comes down to it, you absolutely do what you need to for your family. You do what they need, not what they want. We don't enable them if there's a family member that's addicted to drugs or something, or alcohol. You don't enable them, but you do take care of them. You do what they need, and it's a long, hard road. It's terrible. Remember when my friend, who's the alcoholic, was waiting for a bed in rehab, and she came to stay with us, and she just destroyed our house, and she was always getting arrested, and she was always drunk, and the ambulance was there every other day pumping her stomach for alcohol poisoning, and we were always in the hospital with her, and she was only with us for like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work to take care of someone with these really, really horrible issues. But even in the end, as much as I loved my friend, I couldn't do it. Her sister had to come and get her. It had to come down to family, because even though she's my friend and I love her, she was getting in the way of my family. So her family had to take her, and they did. And so it doesn't matter if Jesse and I are fighting, I'm always going to be on his side. And he didn't know that. And so that Apache prayer was a chance, I hope, I pray for him to hear that I am always on his side. I would have always done everything I could I would have done anything to keep him from doing this, from going away. And I know that there's so many families, other families, that feel the same way. It's when you have PTSD, you're gonna have issues. It's gonna come with behavior issues. It's gonna come with fighting. It's gonna come with not speaking to each other. It's gonna come with name calling. It's gonna come with all these horrible things that it comes with. But you just have to get through it together as a family in order to make sure that the other one survives.